WFYI podcast brought to you by IU Auditorium, presenting Les Miserables for a limited engagement, September 24th through the 29th. Les Miserables, the timeless musical about love, courage, and hope as it relates to the survival of the human spirit. Tickets at iuauditorium.com.
WFYI podcasts brought to you by Bloomington, home to the Indiana Hoosiers and over 200,000 acres of fall foliage in the Hoosier National Forest. Indulge in seasonal flavors at the Elm, experience breathtaking views atop 4 fire towers, or catch a Big Ten football game at Memorial Stadium. More, including how to plan your fall getaway, at visitbloomington.com.
I'm Kyle Long, and you're listening to Cultural Manifesto. Up next, I'll speak with the New York-based guitarist and singer-songwriter John Roseboro. He'll be performing in Indianapolis at State Street Pub on September 14th. John describes his music as post-bossa nova, a blend of American indie rock and Brazilian bossa nova. Let's hear an example. This is John Roseboro with Hit.
Held a weight and needs a home. Think I know a vessel for your love to
That was John Roseboro with Hit. He'll be performing in Indianapolis at State Street Pub on September 14th. John has an interesting biography. He told me he developed his unique style, a sound he describes as post-bossa nova, while living within an Amish community as a teenager. And prior to becoming a professional musician, John told me he worked as a mortician. I recently spoke with John Roseboro via Zoom. Let's join our conversation. John, thanks for taking time to talk today. I'm a huge fan of your music, and I'm excited to see that you'll be performing here in Indianapolis.
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been here before.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. You're at State Street Pub on September 14th. This is your first show, your first trip to Indianapolis, period.
Yeah, I think so.
John, you have a fascinating bio, which almost seems like fantastical in some ways. If you don't mind, I want to ask you about a couple things I read about in your bio. One of those being that you developed your musical style while living with the Amish. Is that correct?
That's true. I was driving like across the country, and my truck broke down. I was very young. I was like maybe 19. It was on their property, and they were like, "You can stay," and I stayed for a while, about a year in total.
And you had a guitar with you, I assume?
I had a guitar, yeah. The thing is that out there, I was the only one who knew how to play really at all. I would play for them, and they would encourage me to play and play in the way that I played, because I was kind of managing the rhythm section and like the bass and all of the different, the harmonies and the dissonances with my thumb and other fingers. Upon us the cosmic conflict, their power trip.
You also, in your bio, mentioned that prior to pursuing music full-time, you worked as a mortician. Is that true?
That's true. I was a mortician in COVID too. I did it for say 3 years. Yeah, I did it before going to school for it, and then while I was in school, and then a little bit after.
I don't know much about what the job entails, but it seems like something where you'd spend a lot of time alone in solitude, and it might be a little bit of a sort of melancholy type of work. How did it strike you doing that work?
It can be. It can also be pretty dynamic. For me personally, I think I was good at it. I think I was suited for a lot of parts of it, as far as memorialization ceremonies and rituals and traditions and that sort of thing, and grief and respect toward all these things. I think I'm like well suited, well acquainted for that kind of thing. Yeah.
I make it look so easy. It's just 'cause I know the secrets. I heard you called me burnt out. Look up, behold the phoenix. You're angsty and depressed. I know the situation. A few short-lived pleasures, followed by annihilation. Transient joys are the sweetest.
At what point did it come to you to switch into making music full-time?
When I came to New York, I didn't have any money, and no one would hire me for anything. If you make music, you can just make your own money. Nobody can fire you. Nobody can hire you.
I think of New York as a place that's very competitive when it comes to music and the arts, but it seems like you found a place there pretty quickly. Is that how it felt? Did you find your place there pretty easily as a musician?
New York is interesting. It's kind of like there's not really a scene. It's kind of like a solar system of scenes, maybe a certain personality or a certain cultural interest with like mini moons around it and orbiters around them. I maybe have friends on this or that planet, but I kind of just made my own world.
Is it my bloodline? Is it my last name? What my father do?
Yeah, that's very evident in the music you're creating. You have a very unique and personal style, I think, as a musician. You've labeled this style as post-bossa, which of course is a reference to Brazilian bossa nova music. You've said post-bossa is a movement, not a genre, and you've defined post-bossa as indie alternative music informed by Brazilian and Afro-Caribbean sounds. Can you tell us about the origin of post-bossa, and how did you come to develop this sound or this movement?
I think that a lot of art is an extension of the artist, right? And so with a lot of music, when people are consuming music, when people are trying to understand music, a lot of the time, when people are just listening to music, they are treating their life, they're treating psychosis, they're staving it, or they're coping with existential things. And some music will lean into that psychosis, some music will help you. It all helps you in your confrontation with either your devils or devils outside. And maybe some music will make you real tough. Maybe some music will help you, maybe just wallow better. Maybe some music will help you, feel sexy and you can do this and that. This music is very much born out of experience and engaging with life and its difficulties and with grief and yearning, and not just trying to make sense of it, but even having made sense of it, like concluding that, oh, well, life is still worth living. There's some music that sounds like bossa nova music, but it's a little different because these guys are living in Brazil. We got beautiful, beautiful women and beautiful, it's tropical. We got palm trees. There's no palm trees. I can't even look far.
let's take a break from my conversation with John Roseboro and listen to a track from his 2023 album, Johnny. This is How to Pray.
Search my heart and know my ways. If there's anything impure, take it away. Here comes the pain. How many times have you saved my life?
That was John Roseboro with How to Pray off his 2023 album, Johnny. John will be performing in Indianapolis at State Street Pub on September 14th. Let's return to our conversation as I ask John about his recent recording, Waters of March, a duet with vocalist May Simonis. Waters of March is a Brazilian bossa nova classic composed by Antonio Carlos Jobim in 1972. Roseboro told me it was the first bossa nova track he'd ever heard. Let's return to our conversation. In 2023, you released a great version of the classic bossa nova song Waters of March, written by Antonio Carlos Jobim. I read that this was your introduction to bossa nova music. What about that song spoke so deeply to you? And tell me about your reimagination of this classic bossa nova track.
I think it's one of the best songs ever. When I was on the farm, when I was with the Amish people, there was a guy named Chris, and Chris was the first person to even say, I never even heard of bossa nova, and I remember he was talking to someone else. He was an older man, much older man, and he was talking to this a girl I was trying to impress, and I overheard him say, "Oh yeah, the music, it's kind of like bossa nova, it's kind of like calypso, da, da." And so after that, I started looking up bossa nova with the girl, and I could see the similitude. But well, yeah, when it comes to Waters of March, I really love this song, but I didn't love any of the English versions, and I would be perfectly content for somebody else to have done it. But I was like, well, everybody wants to make me the bossa nova guy. And May, who I've been friends with for many years, people wanted us to make some stuff together. She wanted to do stuff together. I like her. I want to do stuff. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, let's make a song." I was like, hold on. Let's do this first, because it needs to be done. I don't like any of the English versions, so that's why I made it.
A stick, a stone, it's the end of the road. It's the rest of a stump, it's a little alone. It's a sliver of glass, it is life, it's the sun. It is night, it is death, it's a trap, it's a gun. The oak when it blooms,
A fox in the brush,
the knot of the wood,
the song of a thrush,
the wood of the wing,
a cliff, a fall,
a scratch,
a lump. It is nothing at all. It's the wind blowing free, it's the end of the slope.
it's a bean, it's a void, it's a hunch, it's a...
That was John Roseboro and May Simonis with Waters of March. Up next, I'll share John's 2021 recording of the Mr. Rogers composition, It's You I Like. First, let's hear John's thoughts on this song. And John, I'm speaking to you from WFYI. We're a public media broadcasting company, public radio, public television. So I have to ask about your 2022 recording of It's You I Like, a song by the public television icon Mr. Rogers. What inspired you to record this Mr. Rogers classic, It's You I Like?
It's like the best song. I heard it and I was like, oh, I'm doing this. And I think that was the first cover I had done. And yeah, I thought it was just a really, really meaningful song and tasteful, well written, surprisingly well written song. I think a lot of that stuff particularly when it's a cover, it's like I like respect the music, and I feel like a lot of people maybe don't get a chance to hear it. So like the Waters of March, right? It's like there's a lot of people, not us, right? But there's a lot of people who just won't even consider listening to a song if it's in another language. And so I was like, oh, we got to do the English version. And there's other English versions, but you know, they're swaggerless, or they try to change it too much. It's like, no, the music was perfect. You didn't need to just make it English, so we can get it to the right people. And then in that Mr. Rogers case, I feel like, yeah, a lot of people hadn't heard that song. I know I hadn't heard it until I was an adult.
It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys.
That was John Roseboro with It's You I Like. John will be performing in Indianapolis at State Street Pub on September 14th. And John will be releasing his new album Fools in October of 2024. Up next, we'll hear a track from that album titled Johnny. But first, let's hear John's thoughts on the record.
So the record's called Fools, and it comes out October 1st, and it's 10 tracks. The track list, the feature list is public now. The cover art's public now. And I think it's the best we've ever sounded. This is the most collaborative I've ever been. Juliana Shahaya helped me write one of the songs. Liana Flores duets with me. May Simonis duets with me. There's a song by Ron Gallo, but I just did my version of it. And so, yeah, it's really, really good. I can say a lot more, but I want the songs to speak for themselves, I guess.
That was John Roseboro with Johnny. John will be performing in Indianapolis at State Street Pub on September 14th. And that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you to my guests, Carl Bremmel and John Roseboro. Check out the Cultural Manifesto podcast at WFYI.org or wherever you listen to podcasts. Cultural Manifesto is hosted and produced by me, Kyle Long. Thank you for listening.
WFYI Podcasts, brought to you by Bloomington, home to the Indiana Hoosiers and over 200,000 acres of fall foliage in the Hoosier National Forest. Indulge in seasonal flavors at the Elm, experience breathtaking views atop 4 fire towers, or catch a Big Ten football game at Memorial Stadium. More, including how to plan your fall getaway, at visitbloomington.com.